You're not going to improve your business unless you improve you as the business owner. And I knew that I wasn't going to improve my business unless I got better. It was all on me. That's back to John Maxwell's law of the lid, period. And if I wanted my business to be better, I had to become better.
Welcome to the Painter Growth Podcast, where we help you scale your painting company in record time. Join us as we explore sales, marketing, hiring, finances, leadership, and more, everything that you need to know to scale and grow your painting business. I hope you enjoy and subscribe. What's up, everybody? Michael Hickman here, founder of paintergrowth.com, and you are listening to another episode of the Painter Growth Podcast. And I've said this before, this is a really special episode, but I especially think it here. We have Jason Phillips, founder of Contractor Freedom, and he's really good at getting people out of contractor prison. So I'm really excited for this conversation. What is up, Jason?
Hey, Michael, it's great to be here today.
Absolutely, man. Likewise. So let's just start people off, assuming they know nothing about you. So what is contractor prison?
Okay, contractor prison is simply this. I'll give you just a quick overview. I started my business. When I started my business, I was broke, and I had nothing. But I had a great plan. I had a Goodyear plan. Had the Goodyear tread on the bottom of my shoes, and I went door knocking. Okay, so I had a background in sales and in marketing, and so I knocked on a bunch of doors, sold some jobs that day, and boom, I was in business. I had a work ethic like the Energizer Bunny. I had a family to take care of, and so I was broke. And I traded all this. I had a lot of time and energy, and I traded that time and energy for money. And so now I'm making money, but I'm broke when it comes to time. And if you want to be free, what you really want, what I wanted, and what pretty much everybody I talked to wants, is they really want time, money, and freedom, and there's part of that is also peace of mind, so you can lay your head down without a lot of stress at night and have a good night's rest. So if you have time with no money, well, there's not a lot of freedom in that. And if you have money with no time, well, there's not a lot of freedom there either. And so, I was in contractor prison, and contractor prison, I mean, some typical, let's just say, symptoms that you're in contractor prison. Your business is running your life. You have constant stress over money, people, over projects. You have an inability to escape work-related calls and emails. You're the firefighter. Every time something breaks in your business, you're not sleeping well. You don't have much personal time. You're working 7 days a week, maybe 14, 18 hours a day. The stress is spilling over into your relationships with your wife, your husband, and your children. No time for vacations, declining health, rising blood pressure. Okay, and you're just missing out on all these beautiful family moments. You have to ask yourself, why am I even doing this? Why am I even doing this? I'm beating my head against a wall. And I understand, when you're, especially talking to the guys that are going to be viewing, we've got this instinct. We've got to provide for our family, and we're going to go out and we're going to win the world for our family. Well, that's great, and that's a noble cause. And a lot of times we start out like that, but we can't continue that forever, because guess what? Those most important people in our lives, they need our time, they need our attention, they need our love. They need, providing for them is very important, but providing with them, money and material assets is just one of the little things. What they really want is they want time with dad, time with mom. And when I got into this, we were doing great. Wife got a new SUV, kids got new shoes, all that stuff. But I was coming home late at night, working, sometimes past midnight in the office. And, dinner would be in the microwave, covered up with a paper towel on a plate for me to hit reheat, because everybody was in bed when I got home. The house was dark. I'd be missing recitals and t-ball games and all that stuff. And one night I'm sitting in my office. Actually, my office was in my dining room at this point. And I'm sitting in my office and I'm working on the computer, got some background music playing, and this song comes on, very familiar song. It's Cats in the Cradle. And the song is a story about a little boy who wants to spend time with his dad. And his dad's like, not now, son, maybe tomorrow. I've got bills to pay. I've got work to do. I've got things to do. Maybe tomorrow, not now, son. And then eventually, the man grows older and the boy grows up, and now the man's retired, and he's like, "Hey, son, let's go spend some time together." And now the son is singing the same story with the same excuses. Dad, I've got bills to pay. I've got things to do. And I had very small children at this point, and that song literally ripped my heart out. And I sat there at my desk and just bawled my eyes out. And I get emotional just thinking about it right now. And I made a decision. I made a decision that night that I was going to do things different. And I had two choices I could make. I could just pull back and work less and make less and still be miserable, or I could build a team. And I decided to build a team, and I thank God that I did, because I've in that decision, I was not only was my life enriched, my family's life was enriched, but the people that I've been able to provide opportunities to, and the leaders I've been able to build and grow, has just made the whole world, the whole world, my little part of the world, a better place. So I'm so glad that I did that. And and today, I broke out. I'm living in contractor freedom. I love it. I have freedom of time, money. I have peace of mind. I sleep well at night. All of that. And so today, I tell my team my job is to do four things: is to visionate, communicate, delegate, and appreciate. That's what my job is today. So that's my short story.
That's super powerful. And I'm in a place right now where my kids are young. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Right. And so oftentimes, I'll find myself, we don't have phones at the table, but like in the living room, looking at my phone, responding to an email or a Slack message. Dad, look at this. Dad. Right. The only thing your kids want from you, literally the only thing, they don't care about the new shoes. They don't care about the sports. They don't care about the fancy meals. They could go without all that. But the only thing that they want is your time and attention. And if you can't give them that, and you're just working every day, 60, 80 hours a week, providing them money, well, you might as well not be there.
One time, Michael, my wife, before I made that decision, my wife looked, I said, "Honey, I'm trying to provide for you." And she said, "I don't care if we live in a shack, in a tent. I want you. That's what I really want, is time with you." And that just, it was just like a knife right in the heart right there. And, in some ways, because I'm a fast-paced driving go-getter guy. In a way, it was easier for me to keep going and pouring my life into that than to slow down and think different. And to, if you want to grow or scale your business, whatever you want to call it, what it really takes is it takes thinking differently. It really takes thinking differently. The transformation is an inside job, and it starts with your belief, with your mindset, with your thinking, even the words and the things that you say to yourself. I'm a big believer. Michael, I believe my foundation is the Bible, and the Bible says that so as a man thinks within himself, so he is. And I believe that what we allow ourselves to believe in, the story, the narrative that we tell ourselves, whether it's our narrative or something that's been pushed on us from parents or people outside of us or whatever it is, the narrative we tell ourselves eventually becomes true in our life. And I decided that I wanted to take control of that. And and honestly, one day, this was a number of years later, but I have a morning routine. I read my Bible, I journal, I think, I pray, I meditate. I stretch and walk on the treadmill. I do all these different things. I'm just sitting there quietly one day with my eyes closed, just praying. And I just heard God tell me, He's impressed on me, grab your notes. And it was my iPad, take notes on my iPad. So I want you to write down your future best self as if it's a present reality. So I started writing down, I am this, I do this. I just, all these different things, like, hey, I'm a great father. I spend time with my children.
Aspirational affirmations.
100%. And then I grouped them into categories. And then what I did is I started reciting those to myself out loud with every single day with conviction. And those words came out of my mouth and back in my ears. And because there's so much negativity around us. And I know this is about growing your business, but here's the deal. You're not going to improve your business unless you improve you as the business owner. And I knew that I wasn't going to improve my business unless I got better. It was all on me. That's back to John Maxwell's law of the lid, period. And if I wanted my business to be better, I had to become better. And this was, I don't know, like 2015, 2016. Man, I could have basically retired. My company was running on autopilot. But I just really felt like, that God had more for me to do on a different level and different scale. And so, I went to, basically, I'm going to say I just went back to school. I had an insatiable appetite for personal growth, and I still do, whether it's, reading, attending seminars, connecting with people, learning new things constantly, even health, all of that. I began down this journey of personal growth, and what was happening on the inside of me began to manifest in my body. I lost like 60 pounds, and started a workout trend that I haven't broken in like over 1,225 days now, and my relationships improved because I learned about personality styles, and I got introduced to a number of different ones, and I landed on DISC, if you know DISC personality styles.
Yeah, we use that
And
internally.
it just rocked my life. So I went and got 2 certifications on that, and then my HR manager at work, she got one too, and it's completely transformed the communication, the hiring, the management, the leadership in our business, and honestly, in every relationship in my life.
Wow, that's a lot, right? I think that is a lot for anyone who's like listening, to try to take on. A lot of people are stuck in their businesses right now. They're running a million miles an hour, and they want to figure out a quick way, quick, quote unquote, to get out of contractor prison. But to go through that entire journey that you went through can seem pretty difficult. So I 100% agree. You need to improve yourself if you want to improve your business. You have to become the leader that you need to be. But it's hard to do when you're running a million miles an hour. So how does someone start that journey?
Well, the first thing is really just an awareness, and there's something called the Peter Principle, and it's really a corporate term that it shows that managers in a corporate environment continue to be promoted until they're promoted to a position of their incompetence. And then the result is you have a company full of managers that are promoted one level too high and they're all incompetent. But that same concept, I see at work. I see it in my past, and I see it at work in business owners, painting contractors all the time. Is we're stuck because we're operating and trying to do things that are one level above what we're really competent at. Maybe we came in from, maybe our background is like mine. It was like sales and marketing, or maybe it was a craftsman, tradesperson. Very few people, nobody really goes to school to learn how to run a painting business, and there are some people that get an MBA and then, invest in a franchise or something like that. But that's a very small minority. But when you start your business, I call it making your widget. You're producing, you're learning to regularly, sell some projects, run some projects, and just run at the very most basic level of business. And the painting industry, especially the residential painting industry, is a very unsophisticated industry when it comes to running a business. And we get it's easy to get caught up in primers and applicators and different techniques of this and that, and troubleshooting the making of the widget. But then all of a sudden it's like, wow, we've got all these employees, and now we realize, oh man, I've got people problems. I don't know how to I don't know how to delegate well, or every time I delegate it fails, or I've got big turnover in my business, or I've got a salesperson, but they can't close any deals like I could, or all of these different things. And it's because we haven't gained those competencies. We haven't gained those competencies, and some of these are business competencies, and some of these are interpersonal skills, the soft skills. And honestly, I feel like those are the harder skills to learn. They're learnable. But if you know, what I did is I had already been in business for, more than a decade, when I'd been in business like 15 years before I really saw the great need of this. And my what I'm urging contractors to do is start learning these lessons and gaining these skills well before I did, so they can achieve much more than I achieved. And but it's kind of like, hey, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? Today. Today. And I understand when you don't have time or money, it's hard to solve problems. If you have time, you can solve problems. If you have money, you can solve problems. And if you don't have one of those, and you're just like, again, like that Energizer bunny, I tend to say, hey, the hamster's dead, but the wheel's still spinning. And it's just because you just feel like you're going to blow, right? And you've got 25 hours to work today and 24 hours to get it done in. But somehow, okay, if you don't make some time in your schedule to begin to do these things, there's basically 3 keys that I teach to getting out of contractor prison, to escaping contractor prison and inner contractor freedom. The first one is consistent growth as a leader, as a personal growth, and the second one is to build a team of people. And if you're gonna build a team of people, you really need people skills. If you want to build a great team, you can build a team. You can build a team of people that they just want to follow the vision of, hey, we're going to make a lot of money. That was my first vision back in the day. Guys, we're going to make a lot of money. Come on. That was a terrible vision. And it created a toxic culture with silos, and people are all out for themselves. And I had a toxic culture. And for those of you who have a toxic culture, I know what that's about. Matter of fact, I've written a fair bit about culture and things like that on my blog. If any of you guys care to read. So care to read my blog. I'm sure you read. But anyways, I'm urging to make time for this. It might mean that you may need to, hey, I'm going to pull back a little bit. But so many times, Michael, it doesn't even mean that you have to pull back. What it means is sometimes you just need to let go.
What was the third? You had consistent growth as a leader, building a team of people, and people skills?
No, the people skills is part of building the team. The third one is to empower your people with what I call ABLE systems: simple, repeatable, scalable, predictable, teachable, and transferable systems. And what happens is, I'll give you an example. When we start our business, we're building our business, and so our entire operating system is right here in our head, between our ears. Everything because guess what? You're an entrepreneur. You're good at so many things, and you can keep it all together for so long until it gets so big. Okay. And
you can hustle your way to a decent sized business.
That's correct. But there's going to come a day you're like, well, hey, I don't want to hustle. I want to enjoy. When can I start enjoying? I've been promising my family this vacation, things like that. Right. And so anyways, if it's in your brain, you can't delegate it well. And a real delegation really should be done in writing, and not delegating tasks, delegating authority, delegating responsibilities is completely different than delegating tasks. And so I don't want to be the task director delegating all the tasks constantly. So, I have people on my team that are responsible for different things, and I don't ever have to worry about that stuff. I'm not in any of the daily workflow of my company. Again, my job is to visionate, communicate, delegate, and appreciate. I spend my time working with my leadership team, and well, the rest of my time I spend, working with contractors. And so, uh, yeah, but here's the deal,
1 second, Jason, before you move on to that, I just want to make a clear differentiation there. So delegating responsibility could be like, all right, or sorry, delegating a task could be paint this room, but delegating responsibility could be, you're responsible for the outcome of this job, and as a result, you have to do the walk around the customer and get a 5-star review. So you are
yes.
delegating the room, but the outcome is the finished product with a 5-star review.
Yeah, and now there's another way. That's a great example of it. And one of the best ways I've ever heard this described actually was Stephen Covey, and I think this was in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It might have been in the 8th habit. I don't remember, but he said he was, gonna his son. He told his son to mow the yard. Son, go mow the yard. Well, then he would come home and the lines weren't straight. There was some. He didn't pick up some trash. Blah blah blah. So what he did is he took his son out to the street. And they looked out. They looked back on the house. And he said, "Son, this was after it was all done upright." He said, "Son, I want you to look at this yard. See how it's nice and cut neat. See how all the edging is all done nice and straight, clean lines. There's not a speck of trash blown in the yard anywhere. All the grass is blown away, and it just looks beautiful." He said, "Son, when I come home on Fridays, that's the way I want the yard to look every Friday." And it sounds like, I can do that. It's different. That's the outcome and not just the task. And then that same concept, just like the example you used, can be applied to every area of our house, whether it's, keeping the shop, locking up the office, or whatever it is. And that way, people want to own something. They want to have a responsibility. The right people do. Not all people, the right people for your team. They want that responsibility. And so many times, us as business owners, we're the one in the way of productivity.
Mm-hmm.
We're the one in their way because we either we don't trust, we want to maintain control, and we probably don't trust because we've hired the wrong people before, or we've been a bad manager or leader to them, or we don't trust, or we have the wrong people, or we haven't slowed down, written it down, and properly given the handoff so they truly understand what success looks like.
I think there's one more variable there, and that's simply compensation, right? You compensation for the actions that you want and the outcomes that you want. And if you're simply paying a painter $25 an hour and you expect a perfect job, like there's no alignment of outcome.
Without a doubt, I'm a huge fan of, and this is again one of the things I teach, that we need to connect compensation with expected results. And a very common question I get is, Jason, when do I know it's time to hire a project manager? And B, how do I compensate my project manager? And just an example, okay, so let's ask that. What do I want my project manager to do? Well, pretty simple. I want him to run the job in budget, I want him to collect it on time, and I want him to wow the customer to the extent that he gets a 5-star review from them. So those are the three things. So my project managers, they make a salary, but they also get a commission if they run the job in budget, collect it on time, and get a 5-star review. So it's automatically the reward of doing a job well is already built in on every single project.
And the outcome of that, I'm sure, is you get compliance in terms of the outcome that you want.
Yes.
And that isn't necessarily a self-serving. Like it's better for everyone. It's better for the project manager because the jobs goes more smoothly. It's better for the customer because they get a better outcome, and it's better for the painters because they have clarity on what their responsibilities are.
And that's exactly. And so one of the things I've learned is that when you put money on the most important things, it will cause all of the hindrances to boil to the top, and people have to deal with the real issues that are preventing them from hitting those targets. And look, everybody wants to make a salary. Oh, I don't want to make commission. I just want to do a good job and get paid the same. Well, hey, that's great. And guess what? We've got people at our team that are hourly, salary, commission, whatever. And let's just say, you're getting paid, salary. Your income is pretty much guaranteed. You know what's not guaranteed? Our business. Our business operates in an environment that's competitive. And if we don't continue to generate leads, convert leads into sales, and convert sales into wild clients and profits, we can't stay in business. So I need everybody and expect everybody on our team to be profit minded. I expect everybody on our team to also be ambassadors for the company everywhere. That's the type of people. And guess what? It's up to me as the leader to earn that from them. I can't just demand it. If they don't have it, I either haven't earned. If they're not doing that, I either haven't earned it, or I haven't hired someone that's connected with my vision.
And that trust, even if you do earn it, it can be, it takes a long time to develop trust and a very short period of time to lose it. So if they see you doing something unethical or, not perfect, not values driven, then you can lose that trust, and all of a sudden you lose the buy-in of your team.
So here's a truth that too many owners don't understand. Well, there's actually three truths. Number one, we're in the people business. We're serving people, our homeowners, our clients. Our promises are being made and delivered by employees. Okay. Our team is made up of employees. We don't have some automated AI painting machine that generates its own leads, runs its own books and sales and paints. And it's just not something. Our business relies on people. So number one, the realization we are in the people business. Number two is trust is the currency of business. And like you said, what takes years to build can be destroyed in a very short period of time. And I'll just give you a quick example of you say you're a trustworthy guy, but let's say you're still on the brush, if you will, and you're out there with your helpers, and it's Friday, it's getting late, sun's bearing down on you. You got to finish this job. You're trying to wrap it up before the day's out. You realize, you got 5 gallons of paint, but you really need 5.5 or 6. So, the stereotypical or the proverbial thing that might happen is we're going to stick that water hose in there. We're going to make this paint stretch just a little further. Right. And not that anybody really does that, but I know, well, I'm sure it does happen, but everybody knows the analogy. Well, that client may never even know that it may not even make a difference, but your employees just saw you doing something unethical, being dishonest. And if you will be dishonest with your client, they're going to know that they're going to be saying, hey, where's he doing that to me? Where's he doing that to me? What's he holding back from me?
Also, it gives them permission to do that next time.
That's right. It gives them permission to do that to their client. And it also gives them permission to, maybe clock in a little early, clock in a little late, take a nap on the job, whatever it is. And so many times we want to blame the employee, but in reality, it's that our own leadership is at fault. And that, that's just one example. And the other thing,
every problem in business boils up to the fault, quote unquote, of the business owner, the leader.
Absolutely,
everything is the owner's fault at some level.
And I mean, I understand there's things that are outside of your control that happen in business, but your response to the things within your control, 100%. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And the longer I run my business, the more I see that that's more true every day. And something else, along these things is it's, it's easy to measure how many leads we got, how many sales we got, how much profit we made. But there's some other things that are very important that are hard to measure, not impossible, but difficult to measure. Trust on your team, culture. I say that trust is the currency of business, but culture on your team is an invisible force. And this invisible force of culture is either propelling your company to a better tomorrow, or it's slowly eroding your company from the core. And if we're not paying attention to trust, if we're not paying attention to people, if we're not paying attention to culture, we're just going to be stuck in contractor prison forever. That's just, the way it is. You start talking about these other things like accountability, teamwork, honoring one another, leadership, communication, innovation, recognition, things like that. They're not really easy. And if you're this alpha male or alpha female, whatever, just, those things, they're like, what? I don't want to talk about that kind of stuff. But it's real. I'm telling you, it's real.
It's very important. Yeah, culture is huge. And if anyone listening has been in a company where the culture has been bad, or there was, if there's no culture, then that's a bad culture. There's no motivation to go the extra mile. There's no extra motivation to do anything extra, even do your best, because you're just there for a paycheck.
That's right.
There's something that you said a little bit earlier that I wanted to come back to. And I thought of a different way to frame it that might be that there was a new way that I never thought of before. And I want to hear your thoughts on this. So when you separate the skills of painting to the skills of being a leader and developing yourself, they're very different, right? Because the way that I just thought of it is that it's doing versus being. So being better at painting is something that you're being better at doing, versus when you work on yourself and you're developing yourself, you're trying to work on being better, right? Doing better and being better are very different things. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a great analogy. One of the ways that I've looked at it is it's like we're a big, huge fruit tree, and we need to water our roots. And if we want more fruit, we need to water the roots. And yeah, it is about being, but you can also just say, hey, look, I am the remodeling project. How can I upgrade me? What are my weaknesses? And now the problem with that is, so many times, especially in the connected community that we have, and thank God for that, business owners are seeking out connection and people to help them with their problems, but they're only seeking out the problems they know about. And when you invite, let's just say, it's one thing for me to go to a seminar or connect with some guys online and ask them about this or that. It's another thing to have an expert come in my business and watch how we run day-to-day operations and tell me about the problems I didn't even know we had. And see, you just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And not everybody can afford to hire a guy like me or you to come out to their business and tell them what's going on. But that's next level. And because there's in this industry, there's a lot of the blind leading the blind, well-intentioned, most of it's well-intentioned, but you need, if you really want to grow your business, you've got to get some humility, and you've got to spend some money, and you've got to invest in growing yourself as a leader, and then developing the people around you and raising up leaders in them. And your most valuable asset, I can tell you what, right now, your biggest waste is not on marketing dollars. Your biggest waste is on, guess what? It's not on materials. It's not on, you saved $1 a gallon or bought an extra gallon of paint. Your biggest waste is unproductive payroll dollars. That is your biggest waste.
Opportunity cost has less of a sting to it than actual cost, though.
That's true. That's true.
You never consider Alex Hormozy, my biggest mentor right now, a guy I look up to, has really helped me a lot. His videos and books. He says that every single year that you're working and you're making, say, $80,000 a year, you're actually losing $920,000 a year by not making $1 million. Right.
Yeah.
So every year you have an opportunity cost of $920,000 if you're only making $80,000.
Yep.
Different mindset, different
mindset right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to developing yourself and being better, right? You're the outcome of your actions and behaviors. So what are some tangible things that a painter today who's running 1,000,000 miles an hour, doesn't have time or money, or maybe they have a little bit of both or a little bit of one of them, what are some of the first steps that they can start taking other than awareness? Because assuming they're listening to this, they have awareness of the problem. How can they start going to the next level of potentially solving it?
Well, we all have the same 24 hours a day. What's that? 1,440 minutes. We have the same every single day. And the success is going to be found in how you spend those. And if you are, let's say you're right in the middle of contractor prison, you're working crazy. Okay. You're getting a lot done. How much time are you spending every day scrolling TikTok, scrolling Facebook, watching Netflix? Okay. One of the things I did is I deleted a lot of that stuff from
your
my
phone
life.
has a really good way of telling you what your screen time is.
Yeah, that's true. And I didn't have that back in the day. Okay.
No,
I didn't have that back in the day,
yeah.
but I gave up recreation for a while. Look, you got to put in the work. You created this situation that you're in. It's the object of your own creation. Okay. This is your bed. You got to lie in it. Granted, look, I got in contractor prison because guess what? I broke laws that I didn't even know existed, called business laws. Okay. And so I had to do my time. I had to put in the extra work, and I did. And so I made choices on how I'm going to spend my time. And I don't watch a lot of movies. Okay. But to me, here's a couple of things, some practical things you can do, and don't laugh at these. The first thing is decide how many hours of sleep you need every night to wake up fully refreshed. Let's just say, for example, that you say that number is 7 and you want to be up at 5 a.m. so you can be ahead of your day and maybe have a morning routine or whatever it is. Well, you know that if you're going to be up at 5 and you know you really need 7 hours of sleep, then you better be turning the lights out at 10, not brushing your teeth at 10. Literally turning the lights out, phone down, closing your eyes. So that's a very basic discipline. And I know that I don't like to wake up early. You know what I hate worse than waking up early is waking up at any time of day when I got to get up and I'm super tired. Starting my day off with a fresh mind and a fresh body is
sleep is so important. It's so important to have
right.
a good
everybody,
day.
Was it 6, 7, 8, depending on whatever it is for you, just define what that is. And start with preparing yourself that way. Get up the same time every day. And, don't get up, make some coffee, throw some clothes on and run out the door, because you need to take time. I take time to prepare my body, my mind, and my spirit every single morning. And I have a particular routine, and yours might look different, which is fine. But you need a routine so that will put you in control of your day. So that is something that's transformational in life. Again, that's not a business tip. That's a life tip. And it's hard to do, especially, when my kids were older, they're staying up late, coming in late, things like that. It's not always easy to do. And sometimes we get off track. But my best days start when I've been well rested. And so that's one. And obviously, listening to podcasts very like this one and learning is one thing, but it's one thing to learn and to hear and to listen and to absorb information. That's important. But if you don't apply those things, they're not going to work for you. It's worthless. I mean, you can in baseball, you can hit a triple all day long. If you don't score a point, if you don't get to home base, you don't score a point. So, identify, what's the most important thing that's going to save you time, or here's another way to look at it. Look at the top 5 things in your business that you hate doing. Okay, maybe you don't hate them. Let's look at it this way. let's look at the top 5 things in your business that you procrastinate on the most. And those are great targets for delegation. Maybe you don't currently have the right person to delegate to. Maybe you do. Maybe it's time. Hey, look, I need to buy some of my time back, and I just need to ante up and hire someone. And now you can, once you get them trained, now you've got the elbow room in your schedule to start really working on you as the project, working on your people skills, working on your business skills, putting in some simple systems in your business that are repeatable. One of the biggest things in kind of related to this in my business that just really makes me angry, but it makes me angry at myself, is when something doesn't go right, and I say, we have a process. We already solved this problem before. And they're like, oh, Jason, I've never seen this process before. I'm like, no way. Why was this not on our radar? Why was this not part of our training program? And so if in business things are predictable and they're going to repeat over and over, the same problems are going to repeat over and over and over. Why not write down some simple checklists, things like that, and you can very easily delegate those things out.
A really cool way to use that in practice is the way that we teach it. Oftentimes when creating a new role in your company, if you don't have that person to delegate to, start writing down everything that you do in a day, circle the things that you want to get rid of, and create a job around that.
Boom. It's, you know what? It works. It works.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about basically getting so we can have not enough time, we can have not enough money, and we need to get control of it. Talk about time management. Like, how would you recommend someone, who is working, 60 hours a week? How do you start reprioritizing your time to work on those higher leverage activities?
Well, depending on what your role currently is in your business, you could time block and say, this is, for instance, okay, I've got to meet the guys at 7 a.m., the guys and the gals, the team, whatever. I got to meet the guys from, at 7 o'clock. Excuse me. The dust will settle about 9. I'm going to pull away from 9 to 11. And I'm going to tell everybody, hey, guys, and I'm not saying 9 to 11 has to be, this is just an example. That may not be the right time block for you, and maybe it's every day, maybe it's 2 days a week, whatever. And you let your whole team know, guys, if we're going to make this company better, I've got to start making me better. And I need you to cover these things for me so that I can go have some alone time to work on me, to make me a better leader, to make me a better owner, so that I can help build us a bigger future, or we can build this bigger future together. So from these hours, unless the building's on fire, don't bother me.
Do not disturb mode on your phone.
That's right.
Best productivity app there is.
And see, there's this, but Michael, there's this mindset. A lot of times it's subconscious. We think that we need to lead by example and always be the first one to the office or at work, always be working the latest, always be working the hardest. Okay. Because we don't want to look like we're weak or lazy or any of those things to our employees. Well, I'm just telling you right now, so your employees are just going to sit there and let you work and go, he's a workaholic. They're just going to sit there and watch you do it. All right. But when you take control and say, hey guys, I trust you. By the way, the most powerful thing that you can say, powerful things you can say to your employees are these things. I believe in you. I trust you. If you make a mistake, we'll figure it out. Yeah,
a lot of business owners never let their team make mistakes. They're scared of letting their team make mistakes, but it's so important. If they don't know where the line is, or they don't know what they can, fail on, you're never going to know where that line is.
That's right. You have to create failure is part of learning. It's just part of learning. And if you don't allow them some safe failures, they're not going to grow. And they're going to be in a mundane job. And, trust is a tricky thing, because whether it's in love or in life or in business, you've got to trust. Now, you want to do your best to trust the right people, but And studies show that people that lead with trust in business and in relationships end up on top more often than not. But lead with trust, and when you step out and you trust people, that is such an empowering thing. I had an employee say to me one time, Jason, when you told me that day that you trusted me, that's the most powerful thing I've ever heard anyone say to me. And that was so inspired me. Think about that. People, your people, the right people, you know what they want to do? They want to rise to your expectations, and they don't want to let you down. And if we don't trust, we're always going to be in contractor prison. Now, sometimes we don't want to trust because we feel like we've been burned. A while back, I was talking to a contractor, and he had hired an employee or promoted an employee to be a project manager, one of his lead painters, and he didn't know anything about personality styles, didn't seek any advice, puts this guy in this role. After a few months, the guy's performance is horrible, the relationship is broken, and he has to fire the guy, all because he put the wrong guy in that role. That guy was doing great and thriving in his current role, but now all of a sudden you put him in a role where he's not, let's say, not skilled, not gifted, and really probably didn't even have the personality style for. And the whole thing blew up. And so now he's like, I'm not going to hire that again. I'm not going there. I'm not going to get burned again. And, even when you do hire the right people, put them in the right positions, things happen, and you do get burned and you get hurt. And it hurts when you pour time into someone and then all of a sudden they leave you for whatever reason. It hurts. And you feel like, man, I invested so much in them. But guess what? What's the alternative? Don't invest in people.
Yeah, it's people get burned and they decide that they don't want to try hiring. I've tried hiring painters, I've tried hiring subs. It didn't work out for me, so I'm not going to do it anymore. So they never do that. Imagine if you had that same attitude towards your relationships, right? Oh, I had a girlfriend, she broke my heart, so I'm not going to try again. I'm sure there are people who do that, but how does that end up for them?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I guess to end today, I want to leave the people with a little bit of motivation, right? About, as you were saying, it's not about how many times you get knocked down, but it's about how many times you get back up, right? So for people who are in that position right now where they feel like they've tried it so many times, what type of advice do you have for them to just help them get back up?
You have to start with hope. I know that no matter how many times I fail, how many times I'm knocked down, I truly believe that I'm on a mission in life, that God loves me and he wants me to have a better, brighter future. And I believe that my best days are yet ahead. So giving up for me is not an option, no matter how hard it gets. And it can be discouraging. And sometimes, you know what, it's okay to phone a friend. That's the other thing with Michael, with being a contractor and a small business owner. It's like we're on an island. We're so isolated, and we don't have anybody to talk to. Well, guess what? In this community, you can pick up, and you don't have to call your competitor next door and tell him your dirty laundry and how this is failing and that's failing. You can call your buddy across the country and say, "Hey, man, I'm really struggling. How'd you deal with this?" And there's so much encouragement out there. It's amazing. And I say that encouragement is kind of like a rat poison. A little bit goes a long way, and it's okay if you're down. Reach out to someone. But to me, I go back to my why. Why am I doing this? What's at stake? Who's counting on me? And when I start thinking about that, no, I'm going to find a way. There's a way, and I'm not the first one that's gone through this. I won't be the last one. I know that I can do it. There is a way, and I'm going to find it out.
Motivating, man. I feel like I'm just ready to dive back into work now after that. It's like, let's go.
Let's do it.
So how can people get a hold of you if they want to just chat with you a little bit more about Contractor Prison?
My website is jasonwphillips.bio. jasonwphillips.bio. And on there's links to our social media pages, to my newsletter. We've got our Contractor Freedom Summit coming up soon, and we've got a Facebook group, Contractor Freedom, as well. So whatever platform you're on, just feel free to hit me up. Love to connect with anybody that's interested.
Awesome. So it's just like this on the screen here. Oh, I put 2 eyes.
Yep. Other than that,
all right, I'm just going to get it right. I think most people probably listen to it on Spotify or Apple, but for anyone watching on YouTube, jasonwphillips.bio. Awesome, man. Well, hey, it was really great hanging with you, getting to know you a little bit. I hope that, everyone listening got some value out of this. I know I did. I took a whole page and a half of notes that I'm going to review later, but thanks again for being on, man. I look forward to chatting again.
Man, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on today, Michael.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Thanks for listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. If you want to grow your painting business, go to www.paintergrowth.com or click on the top link in the description. Talk soon.